So this is super official. We're going to start off taking it all the way back to when Rob was really little, right? Rob, who were some of your heroes growing up?
Growing up, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so obviously, I watched the Bills growing up, and had a couple legendary players that I always loved watching, and Eric Moulds, and my favorite player, actually, I loved his name, loved his play, was Takeo Spikes. And then what's cool is that I played versus him when I got in the NFL. I mean, that dude played like 20 years, and Takeo was a great player, and it was just an honor. I think he was on the Chargers when a couple years ago, like his last couple years, and I got to play versus him, which was a special moment.
What were some of your craziest dream or the craziest dream that you had as a kid that you remember?
The craziest dream, I mean, it was just to be the best player that I could be at every single sport at that moment, whatever sport I was playing. And I just loved playing all the sports. I played 4 sports throughout, like, all the way through high school and up to high school. So just my dream was just to make it big. It was the craziest dream, just to make it big. I was never sure what sport I wanted to play, what sport I wanted to go into until I got to college, but I just always wanted to make it big.
Now, when you said 4 sports and you really didn't know which one was going to pick up, was there one that you had in mind that you had the most fun doing as a kid?
I mean, as a kid, you got to go with Little League Baseball. I mean, you can't beat that. You're 12 years old, 11 years old, 10 years old, right through that age. You're still in the Little League Diamonds. I mean, you see it on TV every year during the end of the summer with the Little League World Series. How awesome is that baseball? Everyone tunes into
so
that.
Awesome.
The 210 feet center, these little kids going deep with the little barrel bats. I mean, that was the funnest time of playing I would say like any sport as a kid was definitely that baseball wow. League, Little League Baseball. Little
League Baseball, then you fast forwarded on to college, and college, that's when you really decided, like, okay, football is definitely something that I can do. Why don't you take us back to that moment when you realized that you were good at football and you had potential to go NFL bound?
I mean, I always kind of kept that to myself because, I mean, you're at such a young age. And, I mean, I've had times in my life, even early, where you just try and, like, talk to someone, like, just blurt it out, like, oh, I'm going to be this. Next year I'm going to do that. And then it doesn't happen. And that's when you learn from your mistakes. And I felt like I learned from that early on in my life when I was in, like, middle school or high school. I remember a couple times doing it, trying to, like, predict the future, what I'm going to do. And then, boom, an obstacle comes up and you don't get it that time. So it's kind of just like to keep it to myself and work on my own goals, personal goals, and just keep them to yourself. But I mean, when I got that feeling in myself, I mean, I kind of felt it when I was a sophomore in high school and I was playing and I was playing on varsity, and all the kids that were going to, like, school to go play football in college. And I mean, I just felt like I was keeping up with them very, very easily, and just felt like I could keep going just like them.
So at 15, you'd say?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good feeling, and that's a really good point that you bring up, because a lot of these high school students, right, when you're playing a sport and you're in varsity level, sometimes you'll have, like, that one freshman or that one sophomore that's in with the seniors and the juniors, and sometimes you can't help but think, okay, he's playing in this big team very early on, and that was you in this case.
Yes, I mean, it's super cool. I mean, that's how kind of it was my whole life growing up. I mean, I have 3 older brothers, so I always wanted to play on their teams. And I always played with them in the backyard, all their friends and everything. So my whole life growing up, I never played on, like, the kids my age at the sports. I mean, I played all the baseball leagues higher and everything. So it was always a blast. So when I got to high school, I mean, they were all my friends. All my brother's friends were my friends. So I always wanted to be on their team.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So you already knew the
people. So I felt like I just fit in perfect. It was cool.
So this episode's all on running and speeding. You're one of the perfect athletes for this. What's your 40?
My 40? I haven't ran a 40 since my pro day at Arizona about 8 years ago. I'm going on year 9, so 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I ran like a 4.68 to a 4.72. I was clocked around.
But
I would say I'm a little bit faster than that now.
If you could give yourself a time, what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see. That's something that I don't want. Like I just said, I learned from blurting things out. When I was young, so I'll keep that one in my head, and we just got to do it. And then when we run, I'll be like, see, right there, that was my time I had in my head, right there, that was it.
That's pretty good. So what do you remember most about running the 40 in the pre-draft combine?
I remember the most, I mean, it was just myself, and my brother was working out with me. It was at Arizona, and I had my, like, own little combine day because I had back surgery, so I wasn't ready yet. So then I had my own little day. And it was just crazy just seeing all the scouts right there, just with the stopwatches in their hand and everything. And it's kind of like a surreal moment, like, whoa, like I'm trying out for the NFL right now. This is crazy. I was a young kid. I was 20 years old, and it was just like a moment I always remember what it was like.
And you were 20 years old. So what's interesting about that is when you were in high school, you were in the varsity team at 15. So about 2 years into high school, right? You're 20 years old. That's what, 2.5 years in college.
Yep.
Right? And you're already moving on to the next step. So I feel like you've been your entire life, or your career for the most part, you've been 2 years advanced. Safe to say.
Yes, that's why I kind of felt normal when I left school early too. I mean, my brother graduated that year. He was leaving Arizona, so kind of just felt like it was right when I did leave at that time. So, I mean, just for that reason, I would say probably was one of the causes, one of the reasons why I felt like that, because I always just felt like playing up and always trying to play at the highest level when I ever had the chance to.
So what do you think about somebody who is in the same position that you were in college, right? And they're debating on whether to stay an extra year or not. Maybe they're just not feeling like they're just as ready for the NFL. Did you feel ready your first year?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I didn't feel like totally ready, but I felt like, I've played with many NFL players now going through seeing a couple NFL players now in high school, playing with some at college. I'm going on to the next level, the older guys when I was younger. Just seeing them do it. My brothers, they were older. My one brother played in the NFL for a year while I was still in college. So, I mean, at that moment, I just felt like it was right. I just felt like it was the move, and I felt like I could just keep working myself up no matter where I was. I just felt like I had the will, the power to do it. I mean, I knew I was really far behind, but I knew that if I just kept to it, I could kept putting the work in, I could keep up and get to where I wanted to be. So if you're just feeling it, I would say go with it. But if you're debating on what you should do, if your mindset, you're not sure, if you're not sure, you're not ready, then I would say another year.
That's fair. That's really good advice. So part of being a great tight end like yourself is running these routes, right? Running routes. Tell us how speed factors into running routes.
Yeah, speed factors into the running routes huge. I mean, especially if you got another gear that you can hit on the football field. I mean, you can run 40 times. You can run races and stuff. There's another gear in football for sure. When you see the ball in the air, I mean, your brain can just hit those muscles that you never hit before and just stride it right out and go get that ball at speed that you never hit before, that you're like, wow, that was impressive. And that's what you're always trying to do. You're always trying to train at that level, though. Always trying to get to that level, and speed just is unreal. I mean, I'm just starting to learn that. I'm really focusing on my speed this year, on my agility, on my fast twitch muscles. And I mean, I'm feeling a lot different. I'm understanding how the body works. I'm understanding where you get the speed from, not just having it or pushing your way through, just being smart about how you're training and how your form is and all that, to use your body to the maximum capacity so you can get the most speed that you can get.
No, absolutely. So you mentioned preparing, right? And sometimes the best lessons that we have are when we go up against someone that's faster than us. Have you ever gone against someone that's faster than you in Pro League?
All the time.
Yeah.
Especially
how do you prepare for that?
Yes, all the time. I mean, a lot of guys are faster than me. I mean, yeah, there and there I'm faster than people, but that wasn't really my forte in my career, especially at the beginning. And that's why I'm working on speed, because I feel like that's what I can separate myself if I have speed too, along with the other tools on how to get open versus someone if I'm not as fast as them, that can just factor in on how to get open even more if I got speed just to keep up with them. But when you're going versus an opponent, I mean, my size is bigger than most of the guys that are covering me, if not all of them. And so I got to figure out how to use my body, a way that I can jump out of my route, get around the guy, use my body, use my hips to get open. Because if a guy's faster than me, quicker, more agile, he can just be right up on me and swat that ball away. So I got to learn how to use my body, use my height, and take advantage of that.
What's Gronk's secret to speed?
My secret to speed? I mean, I really don't have that. I mean, I'm not a guy known for speed like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say like bigger, more ground football, pounding, catch the ball, run up the field. That's like I said, I've been working on it now, working on my speed, because I notice that speed is huge. I mean, I see the wide receivers that are fast. They just get open. They just run away, and it's impressive. So that inspired me. So I really don't have a secret right now because I'm working on it right now. So hopefully when I come out and play, I got some speed, and then I can talk about it and factor in what I did, what I saw other people do, what worked for them, if it worked for me, and all that stuff.
Well, I think you kind of gave us one secret there, and it was you started looking at some of the guys and how fast, how their speed, they were using speed to their game. And the fact that you were able to pick up and analyze what some of these guys were using as their advantage,
Yes.
just pay attention to your competitors or your teammates.
Yes, and I see that. What I do see in a lot of guys that are fast is their fast twitch muscles are really fast. Their fast twitch muscles are just boom, right when they hit the ground, they're right back up. So that's one thing I've been working on. I feel like that's common in all the runners that are out there that are fast, is that their muscles, their fast twitch muscles are up there. So that's one thing I've been working on, and I'm going to see if it pays off.
Gronk, you're not just fast. You're also very strong, and you briefly mentioned this. You're built very much bigger than a lot of these guys, right? So you're strong, almost like freak of nature strong, super strong, right? So how much of that is he's flexing as we speak, which is incredible? How much of that is nature, and how much of that is nurture? Like you actually, so how much of it is it already come naturally to you, and how much of it did you have to prepare to get as strong as you are?
I mean, that's a very, very good question. Wherever you go in high school and college, people would just be like, oh, he was born like that. That's his genes. I mean, I would definitely 100% say I was born in a very good gene pool. I mean, all my 4 brothers, they got height, they got speed, they're athletes. My dad was an athlete. My mom was an athlete in high school. And I would say I was born with it for sure. But I can tell you this right now, if you don't put in that, what was it, nature and nurture. And if you don't put in that nurture, I'm telling you, whatever you're born with, you can't use. Whatever you have, whatever skill set you have, if you don't put in that work, if you don't do things right, if you don't treat it right, if you don't treat your body right, I'm telling you that natural ability that you were born with isn't even going to shine. You're not even going to see it.
And on top of your speed, you're also known to be quite the dancer.
Yes.
Right? So tell us, what song makes you run to the dance floor?
Oh, man. Wow.
And it has to be the song that makes you run to the dance floor the fastest.
Wow. Well, like I said, those fast twitch muscles, if you can get those going, I feel like my dance moves have been a little bit better too lately. I'm not lying. Like, then you see those receivers, they're all fast, they're all quick as heck.
Yeah.
They all can dance. Every time I see them dance, I'm like, Antonio Brown when he danced with the Stars, Odell in the end zone dances his face off, and they all got those fast twitch muscles. They can move fast. So I'm thinking, I'm 6'6", 270. I work out too. I want to know what's going on. Why are they that agile and I can't be? So that's why I've been working on lately, and that's what I see. So that's why whatever song gets me to the dance floor, I would say if you're just feeling good, if your body's feeling good, your central nervous system's up, and you're just feeling fiery, and your body's just firing, your muscles are firing, I feel like any song can get me going at that time if you're feeling good. If you're in a dancing mode, I always look at people when they're dancing, no matter where they're at, what sport they're playing or anything. I mean, unless if it's a really unnecessary time to dance, I will never hate on someone dancing, ever say anything, because if you're dancing, there's nothing else going on in the world. You're just happy. You're in your own place. You're doing your thing, and it just feels great. So if you're just in that mode, it's a great mode to be in.
That's perfect. Now let's transition the conversation onto doubters and haters, right? So how do you deal with people who aren't on the Gronk train?
You just don't deal with them at all. I mean, that's the way you got to put it. I mean, if you do run into it, you got a little obstacle course right there, a little stop or something. I mean, you just got to keep doing you. You just got to keep working hard. If you got doubters out there, you can just use it as motivation too, especially if someone's right there. Just keep on going, keep on grinding, and just show them in the long term.
Do you feel that somebody could grow more from having a cheer squad around them, or from having, doubters or haters around them?
I would say it's all on the type of person. Depends on who the person is, what they like, what they prefer. And I'm telling you, to get to a professional level, to get to greatness, to get to legendary, to get to a tryout in the NFL, whatever level you're trying to get to, I would say whoever the person is, you got to respect all philosophies that they use to get to the next level. And if you have a cheer squad, you love a cheer squad around you, and that helps you out the best, and that's good for you. You need that around you. Then if you want haters around you, doubters, your friends just grilling you, you then take that approach too. I mean, you got to just look at it all. It's whatever you can do. Athletes are wild. Whatever it takes to get to the next level, whatever it takes to get better, that's what I feel like athletes do. And I would say that it's just great though to be in a mixture of it all. I mean, to see it all. Because as an athlete, you do see it all, no matter what level you're at. If you're in high school, college, or the professionals, you're going to have haters around you. You're going to have cheer squad around you. And you just want to be able to balance it and figure out a way that helps you the best to handle it, to get you to have the most potential that you have to use that.
So what's the secret to taking care of not only your psyche up here, but your body so that you can compete at the highest levels?
I mean, I've been through it all. I mean, I'm going on year 9 now. There's sometimes...
Congratulations.
Thank you. And there's sometimes in the off season, you're coming off surgeries. You're coming off no surgeries, but you didn't work out for a whole month. Then your mind's not there. I mean, I've been through all those little obstacle courses. I bet you everyone has that's going on many years in the professional levels. And I'm telling you this, if your body's feeling good, your mind's feeling good. If your mind's feeling good, your body's feeling good. And if you're taking care of your body and taking care of your mind, that's what's going to bring you to that's what's going to keep you going and sustain your performance every single time you step out on the field. And it'll just keep you healthy long term if you take care of your mind and body. There's times when I haven't, and then boom, I feel like I'm 3 weeks behind. I got to re-catch up. I got to put in extra work. So if you're just always taking care of your mind, always taking care of your body, you'll get back what you put in.
How does somebody who's listening right now, who's currently undergoing an injury, how do they deal with that injury mentally if it's a physical injury?
There's a couple things. I mean, going through it, there's mentally and physically. Go through an injury, coming back from an injury. And I would say, like, not just coming back from it, but learning from it. Learn how that body part works. Whatever body part you say, I blew out my knee before. You understand? I had no clue about knees, never had knee problems. I wanted to understand what makes my knee function, what makes my knee stronger. And it's not necessarily just doing a knee exercise. It's getting your quad mobility strengthened, all that, your calves around it, everything, your hips, so your hips can take the load more than on the knee, so it takes off the pressure off your knee because your hips are strong stability muscles. So it's learning about your body. It's not just learning how to come back, what rehab to do. It's taking it to the next level. Now it's trying to take advantage of, why did that blow out? What can I do to prevent it? And learning what works all around it to make yourself stronger, and just learn about your body.
No, that's absolutely fair. And that's some really good advice that you got too, just what you were able to give to our listeners here. But you've also received a lot of great advice, and you've had a lot of communications with a lot of different athletes and folks such as Kobe, who, like yourself, are larger than life, right? Is there a fitness tip that you've gotten from one of these guys that you've carried with you?
Yes, definitely 100%. And I would say one that's sticking right now that I like to do is from my quarterback, TB12. I mean, his workout techniques, the way he looks at 41, the way he's still moving. I mean, I'm definitely taking big part into his rehab, his prehab, his prevent-hab of doing everything that he's doing, and I feel like it's paying off and working well. Absolutely.
Now, we're here at the Just Do It headquarters, right? And I have to ask, what does Just Do It mean to you?
Just do it. I mean, I just had that little talk with the kids out there, the high school kids, but just do it means getting it done, no matter what it takes, what obstacle is in the way, just doing it. No excuses, no going around it, just going right through it and just doing it.
And what you mentioned, the workout that you just had, what workout situation here at the Just Do It headquarters excited you the most?
When we had the bands around our knees, not around our knees, but around our ankles, and then we were doing skiffs, we were doing fast feet with the flow of the hips, turning of the hips, getting the hips moving, the hips stabilized, mobilization there, and then also high knees with a little stride on it. Just gets the hip flexors right here going, firing, gets the core, and I love that type of workout right there.
Yeah, you came in like full drenched in
yes,
sweat, right? It was pretty crazy. Now, why do you think, or just to yourself, why is it important for you to empower and inspire young athletes like the ones that you just worked out with?
It's very important. And, first couple years in the league, you're just trying to have fun. You just really don't look at that stuff. You really don't look at yourself as a role model. You're like, oh, I just made it. You're looking at the older guys as the role model, the guys that, that all the kids are looking up to that you think. But I mean, it's just empowering at any level for any athlete that's in college or just made it to the pros or in my shoes now. It's just awesome to just show these kids you just don't make it because you make it, that you got to put the work in, that you got to sacrifice yourself. You got to sacrifice a part of your life if not majority of it, to make it to the next levels. And you got to put that work in, and you got to be smart about it.
Absolutely. And before you leave, Gronk, how does being a great athlete help you in other parts of your life?
I like that question a lot. I mean, I'll just go in a little detail, but it just puts things into perspective of being an athlete. And I take as in perspective, I mean, I take what it's, you'll just learn as in perspective. I'm just trying to say as a team, how to get things done. So if I go meet a business, I go see, got an opportunity with a business, big time business out there, or if I see someone trying to build a skyscraper building that was like full of condos downtown, it takes a team. And how I put it into perspective is I see, football, and I compare it to that. Say you got a big business, you know, you got the head coach, you got the CEO. That's how I put everything into perspective. Like us players, we're all the employees down there, you know, and then boom, we have a fumble, boom, in the business, there's going to be things, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be that, you got to work through it. And the only way to get through it is if you come together as a team. And that's how I always put things into perspective, is looking at it on the football side. And that's why I think sports are so great. And that's why I think every kid growing up should be part of an activity that should be required in school, because then you learn how to come together and build things as a team instead of being an individual the whole time.
I love that. Rob Gronkowski, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.